E.B. Tucker, Director of Metalla Royalty and Streaming. Thank you so much for joining us. The Denver Gold Forum, day 2, wrapping up coverage here. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
Yeah. Metalla's doing great.
It's doing great.
In this environment,
it's
right?
It's going to do better.
We're going to talk about your company in a bit, but first, you made or almost broke our Kitco internet when you doubled down on your 1500 gold call way back in January.
Yep.
How do you see the price now? Where does it go from here for you?
So there's two things I want to say. First, in the short run, people need to understand that we're focused on making money. We're not. There's something we think is going to happen next year, which I'll tell you in a second. But right now, we want to trade silver up to $20. I mean, we think gold is going to stabilize at 1,500, and we see silver moving to 20. So that's a 12% move we think we can capture in the next probably 8 weeks, and we see that as pretty much a certainty. We're willing to bet on that,
okay.
and so we're focused on that while we're letting gold rest. And so this is something we're pretty confident
What do you
about.
feel are the fundamentals pushing silver right now?
Okay, so back in 2016 when gold and silver moved, what happened was the junior stocks are what pushed in that rally. So GDXJ outperformed GDX. So in this time around, GDX outperformed GDXJ. Gold outperformed silver. It's highly unusual. So it means there was no speculation. This was just a serious revaluation of gold. So we think silver has to play catch up. I mean, 20 silver, 1,500 gold is a 75 gold silver ratio. It's still really conservative.
How about on the PGM front? We've seen so much action there that no one's talking about. Are you bullish platinum, palladium, rhodium?
Yeah, the problem with platinum is I always mistake the coins for my silver coins. So I years ago stopped.
Don't trade those in.
I know. I stopped playing around with platinum. We like it. We think palladium is very interesting, but we don't do as well there as we do in the precious, and so we tend to outsource that stuff.
So I'm surprised by your conservativeness surrounding gold right now. But you said next year could be different?
So here's what's going to happen. So we are convinced that no one's paying any attention to gold. There's no serious money that's outside of the people that you and I both know that was involved in this rally, okay? So what's going to happen is gold will take out its old high. We think that'll happen next year. And that's when people wake up.
Well, we saw billionaires like Dalio step in.
I wouldn't say he's an obscure gold bug. He's kind of been around a little bit, and he's somebody that's familiar with the space. If you read his principles and all these things, I mean, he's not exactly. It's not far-fetched for him to have a gold position like Drunken Miller. These guys, these aren't new entrants to the gold market, really.
But what are your thoughts on the world as a whole? I mean, do you see the trade war intensifying? Do you see a recession in 2020? Do you see the U.S. headed to negative interest rates? We're speaking ahead of the Fed here.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's 250 trillion worth of debt in the world. There's 66 trillion of sovereign debt, and maybe a third of that trades at negative interest rates. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, the government makes money by selling bonds. I mean, something doesn't work with that. Probably gets worse before it gets better. What we see on the world stage is you and I kind of have come of age in our professional careers during a time of opening. So areas were opening. We could go more places than ever before. We could trade with more places than ever before. There were walls coming down. When I was growing up, you're watching walls be destroyed on nightly television.
Right.
Now there's walls going up.
Interesting.
Yeah. So now you're going to go into, this is not going to be a phenomenon that's done next year. This is 30 years. So what's going to happen is the world is going to compress into zones. And these zones are really important to map out because you don't want to have assets, like you don't want to own mines in the wrong zone because they'll just take it away from you eventually.
So what do you make of when you hear these? There's a lot of uber bullish calls coming out now, right? 5,000 almost seems conservative. So when people come out with $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 gold calls.
Look, I mean, there's so much distance between those two things, and you can make a fortune of a lifetime in such a smaller portion of that move that who cares where it eventually goes. There's a lot of things that are going to change. I mean, some of those numbers will be hit, but between now and then, if you're just focused on that, you just miss the entire show.
Obviously, you're a diehard believer in the streaming model as a director of Metalla.
Royalties, mostly, yeah.
Would you be in the junior mining space now?
I think the junior mining space has a lot of opportunity because it did nothing last month. I mean, look at the big silver companies, they moved big. The weaker silver companies didn't do very much. So that's something you don't see very often. I mean, normally it's the speculative stocks that lead. This time it was the big stocks that led. So if you can get into a couple juniors, I think, and silver moves to 20, you'll make money because they need to play catch up. People don't trust the move. they're really skittish. I mean, they don't believe it. And so as the awareness builds, those stocks will kick off, and you'll see that rally.
Your company pays a dividend. With the newfound wealth of a lot of miners now with the higher gold price, and a lot of them have already used the cash for M&A activity, do you think we'll see more generosity from the miners in the form of dividends?
I'll be shocked. I highly doubt it. These people don't know how to write checks. They only know how to receive and cash checks. I know all the guys running these companies, they're completely baffled by why we would pay a dividend. They think we got everything backwards. Money's supposed to come to you, not go out. But our belief is it's the shareholders' money. So we give half the operating profits back in the form of cash dividends, and that's a discipline that management needs, I think.
What are you planning for Metalla?
Well, we bought 45 assets and 15 transactions in 3 years. I mean, I hope we can keep that same energy going in the business. I mean, time will tell. It's really difficult to buy these royalties. We buy them in the third-party market, which most people don't understand. But I think we'll be successful, and we have the right leadership team. And I'm on the board, kind of steering the company in that direction. And stock's up 400% since
3 years.
Yeah, 3 years. And I think most people still don't know about it.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
Well, because we don't pay people to promote the company, I think is the number one reason. We pay shareholders dividends. I mean, that's how we spend the money. We don't hype up the company and then do something stupid with their money. I think that's why, to be totally honest with you. But we're 170 million market cap Canadian now. As that grows, it's unavoidable.
Well, do you think the general public also has a hard time understanding the royalty model itself, not just Metalla?
They have no idea how it works. And by the time they learn, it'll be too late. It's the best business I've ever been involved in my entire life. It's higher revenue per employee numbers than Google and Facebook and Amazon and these tech companies. I've never seen anything like it. It's the closest thing to having taxing authority that I've ever seen. Like Warren Buffett used to want to own toll roads because you control everyone's flow on and off the island where their beach house is. This is the closest thing to owning a toll, which was a dream of mine as a kid. I thought, it'd be great, own the toll road, you get paid every time someone drives. That's what owning a royalty is. You do very little work, and you get paid every time an ounce comes out of the ground. It's amazing.
Finally, you feel good about the space?
No. I feel neutral. Yeah. I try not to get excited. It's rule number one in my life is never get excited. Also, never get too upset. There's no reason to be upset or excited. You just enjoy it as it goes along and watch the passing show and enjoy the experience of life in the gold market, which is really entertaining.
It is. Yeah. It is. We're having fun.
We are.
E.B. Tucker, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for watching. We will have more for you on Kitco.com.